I think the hardest political behavior for a young anti-fascist to understand, because it involves digesting deception and betrayal, is the behavior of the liberal in times of crisis. But the flotilla has given us the best analogy ever for understanding this issue. And if there's a young person in your life who might benefit from hearing it, please discuss this with them because they're probably already seeing the images, and this is an amazing learning moment. Okay, check it out. I saw someone online saying Israel is the right, the flotilla is the left, and the European military ships that accompanied the flotilla but left them when most needed are the liberals. I'll be using this analogy going forward. I mean, I will too, because it's funny, but it also cuts really deep. It is tragically obvious that Israel is the right-wing force here, with ghoulish leaders enabled by a propagandized electorate using ethnofascist cruelty to dehumanize, slaughter, and starve Palestinians. Any kid can stumble on reel after reel of IDF forces bristling with priceless weapons and swarming with drones, firing on children, humiliating survivors, and rooting through bedrooms and destroyed buildings. They can also watch internal security forces brutalizing Israelis who protest their government. Now, just as obvious is the left-wing DIY nature of the flotilla volunteers. No uniforms, mismatching life jackets, all shades of skin, dozens of languages, frog hats, dudes who probably work as labor lawyers back home, covered in grease as they jerry-rig a failing engine. They're playing guitars, slurping down ramen noodles. They're seasick and trying to sleep as the drones buzz overhead. They're leaning out to the skies with these cracked screened phones, looking for bars, trying to keep in touch with each other and their supporters back home, but also keeping up on the death toll. They're planning, strategizing, arguing because they're leftists, reassuring each other, knowing they're armed only with their moral conviction and that they could die. They are a tiny group on the sea of perpetual struggle, and they do not know what the outcome will be, but they know they must sail on because this is the best thing they can do with their single life and the best thing they can do together. And when they are shot with water cannon and their vessels are boarded and they're zip-tied and kidnapped and hauled to prison and dragged by the hair, they know that others will follow because altruism is as contagious as fascism. So why are they doing this? They are where they are because they come mostly from liberal democracies governed by capitalism that have refused to intervene during a genocide or even slow down commerce with the rogue state committing it. Now, as they pass Greece and weather more drone attacks, Italy and Spain order warships to escort them. And a few days later, the Turkish Navy deploys 2 frigates. All the defense ministers say that the intention is to provide rescue services if the flotilla is attacked. They said that they had a duty to ensure the safety of their citizens on board, some of them being parliamentarians. They were also under pressure from their own working classes, protesting and striking and shutting down dockyards. So for 5 days, massive, shining warships sailed alongside the flotilla. Some of the volunteers made hopeful reels, filming them on the horizon and expressing gratitude for the solidarity. It was dramatic and poignant, and I even showed my 9-year-old a few videos in the spirit of the cavalry's here, because it felt hopeful. But Italy's Navy announced it would end its escort at 150 nautical miles from the Gaza coast. And that's where the Turkish frigates turned back as well. Spain's government said its naval escort would end at 120 nautical miles out, so they all withdrew well before the possibility of actual confrontation with Israel in the naval blockade zone. We will escort your humanitarian mission, but only to the point at which we risk something real. So when the kid found out, he asked, why did they go if they weren't really going to help? And this is where you tell the younger person that there's a type of behavior in the world that is mostly for show. Its priority is to sustain the illusion that there is reason and law in an absurd and lawless world. It performs relevance with wealth and proceduralism and dissipates its moral responsibilities over a vast bureaucracy so that no one can really say, I did that or I regret that. It will do what it must to calm the oppressed while managing the excesses of the oppressors so that capitalism can ease back from its crisis and return to more acceptable standards of exploitation. Unlike the flotilla volunteers, every sailor on those ships got a paycheck. That's why they were there. Procedure, performance, paycheck. And that maintains a very narrow world in which individuals can feel satisfied that they participated in the vaguely noble project of maintaining order, while remaining sheltered from the notion that anything more can be done. It's obvious that we have to identify fascism and fascists, but it's not that hard. What might be more important is identifying the deceptive promise of protection from that authority who represents authority but not care. Because in the long run, Israel won't last. Trumpism will collapse. But the countries that send out warships for show while doing nothing to really oppose fascism or climate change, they're going to last much longer. They're in the business of self-preservation. I think virtually every young person who gets an honest account of this flotilla can then consider these very easy questions. Which boat do you want to sail on? Where will you find friends for life as opposed to friends of the paycheck? On which boat will you have to do as you're told versus deciding what's right to do together? Do you want to be on the safe boat that turns back or the vulnerable boat that sails on into the sunrise?